Welcome back to Your Average Witch, where we talk about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft on the full and new moon every month. In this episode, we meet Darcy, a witch in California. Darcy tells us about how witchcraft saved her life, she geeks out about tarot and symbology, and she tells us about how she wants to own a witchy business. Now let's get to the stories. Hi, Darcy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kim. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
We've just had about 30 minutes of computer hell, so that's been fun. Would you please introduce yourself to everyone and let them know who you are, where they can find you?
Absolutely. My name is Darcy Porter. I am an eclectic witch, a bit of a modern witch, according to some quizzes that I've taken. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook is still, more or less. But let's see. Is this a good place to drop handles?
Sure.
What do you think? Okay, cool. Instagram, my handle is at Darce Side of the Force. So that's DARCE .side of the .force. And anyone who manages to find their way there can find my link tree, and that's got links to everything else. And Twitter is at _Darce_side, the Darce side.
I have given up on Twitter. I know we interact there sometimes, but I have given up. I'm obsessed. I quit.
It is a lot. I feel like honing your like homepage, like what you scroll through, is key. I would rather spend more time on Twitter than Facebook at this point. Facebook is all of my, older relatives and some of my friends who are like turning into their parents and posting just like memes and just really, really silly things. And when I say silly, I mean like borderline offensive. So I just take a step back. It's a mess over there. And it's people who are like my age and maybe like a little bit older who like grew up with the internet. Like, they paved the way. These are the people who like, how do I say it in a way that's, the internet was the Wild West and these were
cowboys.
How can I say? More or less, yeah. Like I want to say it in a way
Oregon
that's not
Trail.
Like super colonial. Yeah, like without the whole like manifest destiny and killing, Native Americans part. But I'm like, how are you so bad at the internet? Like other millennials and borderline Gen Xers. I'm like, I don't get it. You had this, like, this was your playground. You were given this and you're just messing it all up. It's so funny to me. Anyway, so yes. Yeah. On that note, I guess, I don't know. You're the host. I don't know why I'm trying to host.
So I have to give a little shout out to my chair. So if you hear
that, chair?
That's what that is, everyone.
Talking?
I'm sorry, but sometimes I move and I have not WD-40'd it yet. I apologize.
I'm excited to have another guest on the podcast with me. I'm honored.
Oh, good. So what does it mean to you when you call yourself a witch?
For me personally, it feels natural. Like it was something that I only started doing probably about 5 years ago. And everything kind of sunk into place once I started calling myself a witch and just like falling into that rhythm of, yes, this is what is my authentic way of being. It makes me proud. It says that, here I am in all my power. I'm going to take up space. And if you don't like it, you can get out of my way and just let it happen because it's going to happen anyway. And also, like, I feel like it's a gratitude prayer at the same time. I know that sounds a little cheesy. And I realize that it takes, an immense amount of privilege to be able to out loud call myself a witch and live my life out of the broom closet, more or less. Like I'm open about it. My family knows, my friends know. And I realize that it's still so dangerous for so many witches to practice what they believe in because, there's still a lot of persecution and oppression and just all out wrong and bad ideas about what it means to walk a magical path. So it has a lot of weight to me, and at the same time I wouldn't call myself anything else.
Would you say you have any family history with witchcraft? Like back in the day,
Funnily
you
enough,
remember mom did something real weird?
yes, actually, which came as quite a surprise to me when I discovered it. So my grandmother, my dad's mom, passed away in 2020. She had lived a long life. It was natural. Like, we as a family were like mentally and spiritually prepared. Like, it was not fine, but as fine as it could be, right? So I go to my aunt, my dad's eldest sister, and I asked for my grandma's birth time because I was going to, plug it into an online generator or whatever and get her birth chart. And she gets back to me and she's like, "Hold, please." And then she texts me not a screenshot, but she had photographed a hand-drawn birth chart drawn by my great grandmother sometime in like the 30s or 40s. I know. I never expected that. This was like, I knew my great grandmother barely. I was very young when she passed away. So like, I met her, I interacted with her, but it wasn't one of those things like she could have really shared with me because I was too young to understand. But her daughter, my grandmother, certainly wasn't into any of that. She was far too practical, and all four of her children, more or less turned out practical as well. At least, we're not, they weren't church people. You know what I mean? Like, they went to church, but it, Christmas, Easter, and that's about it. I would say that my dad's siblings they're artistically inclined. They're into the woo, more or less. My dad is definitely not, not at all. So to hear that, my great grandma was somebody that I definitely would have been friends with was just, it was like a sigh of relief, honestly, because I did kind of feel like, hey, am I the weird one in the family? Am I the black sheep? And it turns out absolutely not. Like, great grandma May, she and I would have been tight. And then on my mom's side, they're all like super intuitive, like very empathic. My mom is the youngest of, oh gosh, 5 kids, I think. Details are sketchy there because my mom had a rough childhood and didn't talk to a few of her siblings for a long time. And in my reconnecting with some of her siblings, I find out like the majority of her sisters are witches without calling themselves witches. They know things. They are spiritually sensitive, not all out like psychic mediums, and they just know things. My mom always knew things too. Like, I could never lie to her. She knew. She would always figure it out. She was so smart. I say was, like, she's not still with us. She's absolutely still alive. She's fine.
Also, my mom's not dead.
Yeah, she's not dead.
Well, you call yourself an eclectic witch. Can you share any of your daily practices with us? Do you have any daily or regular practices?
I do, actually. I have a lot of magical tools that I interact with daily. Most of them are like my jewelry, like intentional crystal jewelry that I wear. I keep not runes. Well, yeah, actually, I keep runes and tarot cards in my backpack at all times, and that goes with goes with me to work every day. I have sigils in my server book because I wait tables right now. That's what I do to pay the bills, and yeah, pretty much every morning, like, my skincare routine is, part of like a glamour magic routine. This is what I do to protect myself. And it's, I do my best to say pull a rune or a tarot card before my shift just to find out, what kind of work day it's going to be. And I'll usually draw it on my hand. I'll draw the rune on my hand to remind me this is the tool that I need to carry with me into battle today. I'm actually really into like a lot of childlike superstitions. They're fun. For me, they bring me joy, and they're usually rooted in, old wives' tales and a little bit of magic here and there. So like driving through a yellow light, I'll kiss my hand and touch the roof of my car. I've done that since high school. And it depends on who you ask, like what that means. And I don't even know anymore. I just feel like it's one of those, again, all of these are things that help me be more mindful that there is something bigger than me out there. This is energy that I can influence. So if it brings me luck, if it adds seconds onto my life, some people that it says that it, adds onto like, oh, X many minutes of good sex. Like, that's great too. I'll take that shit.
What?
What else?
What?
I keep.
What are we
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
like the yellow light thing. Like if you drive through a yellow light, yeah, and kiss your hand and touch the roof of the car, it's like 2 more seconds of good sex, and
What? I've never
when
heard
you're
that in
16,
my life.
my silly teenage friends,
Huh.
this was something that we giggled about when we were teenagers. In all our all-encompassing sexual knowledge, at that age, Jesus. But I again, it's not exactly clear why I still do it, but I do it.
I'd knock wood.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I knock wood. I throw salt over my left shoulder. I love, holding your breath when you drive past a cemetery, picking up your leg when you drive over a bridge.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. What else?
Do you X out things? Like if you happen to walk past your customers and they're talking some fucking bullshit?
No, I don't. I ought to.
How would you say that witchcraft has changed your life? Or has it?
I'd say that witchcraft has actually saved my life. I'm pretty sure. So like so many people, I struggle with mental illness. It runs in my family. I have clinical depression, get it from my mom. And I'm also pretty sure that I have undiagnosed ADHD because like all the symptoms are just too like, yep, got that. Yep, got that. Yep, got that as well. So suicidal ideation is a thing that I struggle with fairly regularly. And back in 2019, my insurance was canceled due to so many things. And now that I'm some bullshit, it truly was. So as a result of that, and this was right before the pandemic hit. So it was around the same time that I ran out of my medication. I was taking Wellbutrin for a while, and I just couldn't get back on it. I remember I called, I don't know who I ended up talking to, some Kaiser representative, because that used to be my provider. And he told me to go to the emergency room. He says, like, go to the emergency room. They'll get you signed up for emergency Medi-Cal, because I'm in California. That's what we use. And they can get you your medication. And I just thought of the emergency room in, spring of 2020, packed full of people who, are
maybe dying.
Probably dying, bleeding, can't breathe, just like all this stuff. And I was just like, I can't do that. I can't. I will do my best. I will meditate. I will be mindful. I will, do everything I can to help myself. And now I am full-time again at one of my jobs that will provide benefits once I get signed up for it. So we're going to get back into therapy. We're going to get that script back, and I'm going to get back on meds, and it's going to be great, and everything's going to be fine. So I do highly recommend that, the esoteric and the spiritual is all fun and great, and Western medicine, please. Western medicine is super important. They can work together. Your essential oils, your crystals, your moon observations, astrological charts work with the medication that a doctor has prescribed, or therapy. Yes, so important. They go hand in hand. But after like all that bullshit, of course I was feeling super disempowered. There was like so much going on, and witchcraft was a way for me to take my power back and to find a way to control a little piece of my life when everything was just spiraling. Everything around me was chaos, and I could at least know what phase of the moon it was. I knew, like, okay, well, the sun is in Taurus, so that I got that going for me. I know that much. There were certain things that were solid. They were tangible when nothing else around me was like solid. So it was feeling the ground underneath me. That's what it felt like. Like finally, just like touching down and just like almost like lying flat on like a big like lawn and just in the sunshine and just feeling like, yes, finally, this is the way I can breathe.
What would you say is your biggest motivator in your practice?
Oh gosh. I would say it's to commit daily to bettering myself.
That's a lot.
I know it's so much. And it's like, well, at the end of the day, who am I doing this for? I'm not only doing it for myself, I'm doing it, for the collective. And at the end of the day, most of my magic is to contribute something good. So whether that means, doing what's right for me and like bettering myself, so at least whatever I put into the world is positive, that's something small that I can do. Or if it's taking part in, a bigger spell, group spell, or doing magic on someone else's behalf, with their permission, of course. Most of what I do is intended for good. And another motivator I would say is to keep learning so that this knowledge doesn't die. I feel like that's really important to, perpetuate the lore, to perpetuate the the existence, to make sure that future generations know, like, hey, we're here, we've always been here, and we will continue to be here. Like I know, like there's a lot of young witches that I know, and I do know that they look up to me and that they look up to others, and like I feel I take that responsibility very seriously. I would be foolish to, not acknowledge the fact that, I've got people who follow me on Instagram and pay attention to what I do. And that to me it's an honor first and foremost. And like, I can't, not regard that. It's very important to me. Yeah. And not only for the greater good, but for liberation. That's a
Yes.
big part
Thank
for
you.
me as well.
On behalf of me, thank you. What would you say you most want out of your practice?
What do I want? I would say community. I would say unity. I love being able to share my practice with other people, whether it's, friends who hire me more or less for my services, like readings or cleansings or building spell jars for people, custom spells. I made a batch of black salt for a coworker once. He didn't even ask. I just did it. I was like, "You need this here." Um, I love being able to put my magic into the world and have it be, accepted and honored, and people are grateful for it. I think they've said thank you, so that makes me really happy. Yeah, and and when I hear the good feedback from them too, when they tell me like, hey, that really worked, or that reading you did, like everything you said was true, and it's the best feeling in the world. It brings me so much joy to know that I'm making a difference, because we all struggle for that sense of power and control, and we wonder if you know does my life have meaning? Am I making a difference? Is it better that I'm here? And the answer is always yes. It is the biggest resounding, echoing, guttural yes. And it comes from your friends and your loved ones. It comes from spirit. It comes from the earth. And so it is an ongoing conversation. I feel like that is one of the biggest things that I hope to get out of my witchcraft, is just keeping that conversation going.
I love that.
I love that too. I just like it was one of those, like, yeah, I gave myself like a rough outline of like how to answer the interview questions, but that one was a little more like, no, this is the truth. This is truth, and it needs to be spoken.
I
So that
loved
was
it. Do you feel like you ever have imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Funnily enough, in listening to your podcast and listening to all the amazing witches that you interview, I realize I'm like, oh shit, I don't have my own business. Like I'm not a content creator. I only have like 1,000
What?
followers and they're all my friends. You know, like I look at my stuff and this, like, you know, everything I make on social media and I'm like, oh, I'm not that big a deal. Like I don't have like an LLC or like I'm not an independent contractor. This isn't my
Good,
full-time
because that
job.
means your life isn't a misery.
Yeah, man, I'm a working class witch, dude. I make hourly and it's, you know, that is what my life is right now. Like, yeah, I've gone to school for something completely different and I'm not doing that right now. So that's a big part of it too. You know, I went to school for theater. I've been a professional actor, professional dancer, and I'm just not doing that right now. So of course the imposter syndrome kicks in like every phase of every facet of my life. Like, okay, your witchcraft is, you know, not enough to gain you followers. Your acting's not enough to get you professional roles full time. Like you can't pay the bills with your craft. And it's like, oh, and you just shake your fist at the sky and it's an ongoing thing to just, you know, tell myself that I'm enough. I'm actually surprised that there are people that exist that don't have self-doubt or imposter syndrome. And the only thing I can figure out is that Kim, they're not as smart as we are.
All right.
You know, the dumb people are blissfully ignorant and they are everywhere. So they just don't think about that stuff that hard. And that's a reality. So yeah, you know, I have breakdowns every once in a while and I know that it's all cyclical. If I'm feeling shitty, I just have to give it time and it'll come back.
Take a nap.
Oh yeah, I take naps. I dive
Fine.
into I dive into work. You know, I self-medicate. It's not the best thing in the world, and I'm not going to pretend I don't do it. You know, I enjoy a good IPA and things that are legal in California that may not be legal elsewhere. You know, so
green things.
These are. What'd you say?
Green things.
Green things. If you're doing it right, sometimes they're a little purple. I hope they're never brown.
I don't know about that thing very well, so
it's
fine.
Be
educated when I hit Philadelphia this year. To be honest,
brilliant.
Sister up, everyone.
I hope somebody at least brings some of that because that's anahanas, right? And there's no alcohol at anahana, so I would hope maybe there would be something else. Not that anyone needs substances to have fun. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like,
especially, you know, you super don't, because I didn't have anything happening. And I did spend a lot of time crying, but it wasn't because of that.
Right. No, you're there. It's raw. You're interacting with, you know, people that are giving you the space to be vulnerable and be authentic. And that can be kind of shocking and overwhelming for a lot of folks. So absolutely, I totally get that.
Also, can I say that I was really disappointed when you said you're not coming this year because I was hoping that I would get to meet you.
I have been wanting to go since I heard. Oh, me specifically. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I know I would just make hundreds of new friends, and it bums me out. There was actually, I want to go. It is a goal of mine to go, and like it was this music festival that I usually go to. They were thinking about moving their date back to September. So I was like, well, I can't do two big trips in September. Like that's not good. What'd you say?
It's crazy talk.
Oh, again, working class witch. I have a savings account. It exists. It's not like chunky. So it's like, okay, what can I budget? And then my partner and I booked a trip to New York in September because we had the money and the plane tickets were just too good to pass up. There was an Airbnb that we got and everything like kind of clicked into place. And so I'm just telling myself, you know what? 2023, I'll be at Anahana's Purpose. I'm going to make it happen.
Me too.
Yay.
And I'll probably be able to walk up a hill at that point.
Oh, yeah. With that shiny new hip, you're going to be part cyborg. I'm so excited. Oh, I don't even know if you're part cyborg now.
Talk about it.
Yeah, you're going to get your cybernetic hip. It's going to be great. The Kiminator. That was so stupid. That was so dumb. Thank you for laughing.
What do you what do you do to talk yourself out of the imposter syndrome?
Oof, sometimes I don't, dude. Like,
Good answer.
sometimes
Good answer.
I just, sometimes you just have to let it ride. I do my best to, I put on a comfort movie or consume other comfort media. I am not shy about telling my friends that I'm having a rough time. Like, I will go to my partner and be like, I need a hug. I need a hug right now. Can you make me a PB&J? And like, if he's got the spoons, then usually he comes in clutch. So I'm grateful for that. He's pretty good when it comes to supporting me. And usually, yeah, I can align the, the valleys, those mental health valleys with my hormonal cycle. So I usually when I'm having a rough time, I think about where I am in the menstrual cycle, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's helpful for the logical part of my brain to know that this isn't real and that my hormones are just being mean. So it's a lot of that, just, telling my brain to shut up and to stop being mean and just to let it kind of pass.
I have to do that with sleep. That's why I said take a nap, because if I don't get enough sleep, then I usually spend most of my time in tears and thinking everything in life is terrible.
I feel like I'm the same way. I get like a cranky baby if I don't get a nap. Same with food.
Oh my gosh, yes. What would you say is your biggest struggle when it comes to witchcraft?
Executive dysfunction.
Mm.
Full stop. I know when the Sabbats are, and if I've had a long day at work, like, I'm not gonna get up off the couch to make bread for llamas. Like, I'm tired. So, or knowing like if I always want to, make moon water and put out my crystals and my tarot cards when it's a full moon or a new moon. And there are times when it just, I'm just, so overwhelmed, faint on couch, like I can't always bring myself to go full out. And that is a big struggle for me. So sometimes I just have to keep it small.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I know I'm not alone, so that's good.
Yeah. What would you say are your long-term goals? Do you have any long-term goals for your practice?
Yeah, I would love to get more involved with witches in my area. Southern California has a big magical community. I don't want to make the assumption that they're all based out of Los Angeles, and I know like that's, quite the hub of more not to assume that every witch is like progressive and leftist, and that's where I'm at. Those are the people that I want to talk to. So I don't want to assume like that's where all the witches are. There are witches here in Orange County, where I am, and I know there are witches in San Diego, where I grew up. So like they're around, and I want to get to know them personally. I want to, find those group rituals. There's a couple of metaphysical stores that are pretty close to me, and they have a fairly healthy online presence, and they do rituals every once in a while. And I would just love to get to know those people better. Not only the shop owners, but the vendors that they employ for their, street fairs and things like that. I actually, I would love to write a book or a play about magic. If a good story strikes me, like I've been involved with theater my whole life, and I've got things kicking around in my brain. Like, okay, how can I bring witchcraft to the stage? I would love to do that. Like even in a fictional sense, I feel like it's something that there's definitely an audience for it. You know what I mean? Like I think it could be really impactful. And the book could be, I would love to do this. Yes. It's something
We're gonna
like
make it happen. Everybody that's listening, this is going to happen and you're going to help
We're
us make
putting
it
it out
happen.
there. Yes. Give me all of your like positive, motivating, energy, good vibes with a Z.
Beams,
yes.
lasers.
Yes, I'm here for it. I'm open to receiving all of it.
I want this. Yes. I want this. Everybody send her lasers. I am not even kidding.
I'm not kidding either. I'm it's been something I've been thinking about for so long, and I just don't have a story yet. So I have to just, keep taking notes, keep writing things down, writing everything down, and eventually something will happen. I light some candles, ask the right deities for help, call to the ancestors, what have you. I'm certain this is going to happen.
What would you say brings you the most joy in your practice?
Ooh, I mentioned it before. I think seeing the impact that my magic has for others, when they ask me for my services, when I hear like a reading goes really well. Like I had a friend recently who changed their career path and they were going into financial planning, like something that they had not been doing before at all. And she came to me for a reading and it was like, yeah, like keep doing what you're doing. Like the cards are saying like this will pay off. And we were getting pentacles everywhere, right? Associated with earth and things
Ching,
of
ching,
monetary
ching.
value. Ching, ching, ching. And yeah, she just recently got certified and she made it a point to thank me and say it was because of that. And I'm like, I didn't do anything really. It was all you, and the cards knew what you were doing was the right path. So like I will accept your thanks, of course, and I just hope she knows like that it was mostly all her. But still, like feeling like hearing that and knowing that there are people who appreciate what I do, that brings me a lot of joy. And I love hearing about new witches, kids, teenagers getting into it, discovering, witchy movies and books for the first time. I think that's fantastic. That brings me a lot of joy too.
Are there any witchy things that you geek out about?
Ooh, I do geek out about tarot quite a bit. Like I have always loved symbolism and symbology. Like the Da Vinci Code was my shit when it came out, dude. I read that book so fast the summer it came out. I was in high school. I was like, yes, all the symbols. Oh my gosh. I was in all my lit classes. All of my teachers knew that they could rely on me during classroom discussion to be like, yes, the green light at the end of, Daisy's dock in Great Gatsby means this. And I could, save everybody. Tennessee Williams is one of my favorite playwrights because his symbolism is like in your face. You can't fucking miss it. Yeah, like table work for plays. Anytime I get cast in a show and we, read through the play as a cast for the first time, I'm always the ones dropping like, okay, so you know what Clifford Odets meant by that, right? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why she's wearing what she's wearing. It's because it
says
means
what
this.
with a U. That's me.
What'd you-
What?
I'm there. I'm to the rescue. So yeah, tarot really like ticks all those boxes for me. For my birthday, I was gifted a book on tarot art. So it's got a bunch of different Yes, I have yet to like really sit down and just like dive deep into it. And every time I if I see like an artist on TikTok or something designing a new tarot deck, like I want to know everything about it. I want to know. I'm like, okay, so what'd you pick for the Fool? That's an interesting choice. Why'd you do that? Or like those people who do like tarot fan art mashups. Have you seen the Vine tarot? I'm obsessed. So far, I think her TikTok handle is like Holly is not an artist. I think that, or something close to that.
Amazing.
So she's only done the major arcana, but it's all popular vines. And
God,
I can't get enough. I need her to do the whole thing. I need her to do all 78 cards. I need it. I need it like yesterday. So that's something that I geek out about for sure. Also astrology. I will talk at people about planetary transits all day. People who didn't ask. It's cute. My coworkers are very like, they're very supportive. They're very sweet. So I think those are my two biggest, like, I get really excited. And we'll just keep going about it.
Are you following Arcana Verte?
I
The
am
tarot
not.
or of Arcana Verte? Aiden, the one that I interviewed, her tarot is fucking beautiful.
Ooh.
Fucking beautiful.
I'm going to write it down. Arcana.
And she's got really interesting symbology.
Ooh. I'm intrigued. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to go check it out.
Does your partner practice?
He does not, ? And he will take any crystal that I give to him for his work. Like, if he's having a certain kind of a day, I will hand him a crystal and be like, here, you need this. And he'll be like, okay. He's down. He's let me read cards for him a couple of times, and it was a pretty impactful experience, which has resulted in him speaking very highly of what I do to others, which is great. Love that. Do you know that the guy on TikTok who tries to explain his witchy wife?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. I love all his stuff, but it's very much like that. Like, I can't come out tonight. I got to go put water outside because the moon's doing a thing.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, I don't know. It's just really important. And he's just really supportive. He doesn't quite know why. But yeah, he will contribute. He'll contribute to spells and to rituals if I ask him to, especially if it's something like an abundance spell or a money draw or something that would impact the both of us. He's carved candles with me, anointed candles with me. And yeah, he definitely he is not a detriment to my work by any means. I think he only, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, he's only helpful. He only has good things to say.
That's nice. Ken is like that too.
That's the best. It's so important.
Do you feel like social media affects your practice?
I do. I actually love social media, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I learned very young what not to say and do in chat rooms and forums. And I think my parents might have a differing opinion. Like, hey, Darcy, maybe you shouldn't post so many pictures of you holding alcoholic beverages. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's probably a really good point. But other than that, like, I've lived almost my entire life online. And as someone who is a performer, who I have been told by theater teachers in the past that I like to be watched, whatever that means, I always know that whatever I put out into the internet world is a very easy way to make something real. It's a way to manifest, speak it into existence. It's also a way to, bring the evil eye on you, which can be very stressful. And that's just, all the more reason to, use protection magic. It was only recently that I made my Instagram private. I was on public for a long time. I think
it was.
But yeah, so keeping social media private is a really good way to protect oneself. But when it comes to glamour magic, I feel like social media is your best friend. It can be a really, really powerful magical tool if you use it correctly. If one uses it correctly is what I'm saying. And I do my best to live that way. Like, everything that I post is authentic. It's real. It really happened. I'm really there. That's really what I look like. There is some like filtering, airbrushing stuff. And if I've got a zit, I might edit that out. But other than that, like, it's still who I am. And I still give it so much thought. Everything that I post, I know that people are watching. And I never forget that. And I think being that mindful about, the magical tools that you are using, because I do consider social media to be a magical tool, is important to, you treat these tools with reverence. These are gifts we are privileged to be able to use. And it is important to be mindful.
How do you feel like you use, or do you feel like you use social media to affect others?
Ooh, yes. I do feel like I use it to affect others. I share information about like places where other people can find community. I share as much information as I can for folks who might not have access to it. Maybe I'm their only resource. I can't imagine that I would be for a lot of people. There, my social media, it is a bit of a bubble. I am kind of, preaching to the choir a little bit. And I know that I have followers who, you know, I am their access to articles, to like if I share like a ritual or a street fair or something that's happening, or uh yes, I would rather share information than not, because I never know who needs to see it. So I do use it to influence others. It's mostly like kind of not letting your freak flag fly, but I do want people to know that they might not be the only person that thinks a certain way. So I do it more for letting folks know they're not alone.
Kind of like this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I approve.
And that matters. It does. I'm not kidding. That sounded very like sarcastic, but I'm not kidding, because, like it or not, like you and other people who host podcasts and other content creators and influencers, they do that. They influence. And there is a certain level of, we'll say, celebrity that comes along with that. There are people who your podcast is all they listen to. Your advice is gospel. And, like it or not, that's
weird.
It is. And
Whoever's
there have
doing
been
that, go listen to Witchy Amateur Hour as well, please. At least.
There's something noble about the reluctant hero. So many stories have been written. So why not just embrace it?
Because I'm bad at it.
You'll always be bad at it with that attitude.
Ta-da!
Finger guns.
Exactly. That's almost exactly what I did here in my closet. Is there anything you wish more people were discussing in the witch community? Or do you think we're pretty much talked out?
I think more witches need to think bigger, honestly. Like, we do magic for self often. And I will see a lot of witches asking, like, for money spells, for protection spells to keep them and their home safe. And that's all good and fine. That's, important, obviously. And I would love to see more witches reach out to, organize their communities and expand their network. I feel like this is the best time in history to be a witch and to communicate with other witches. We have so much technology, so many tools at our disposal, and we could make an incredible impact if we organized. And we have made incredible impacts by organizing group spells, meeting up in person, marching, rallying. And I think that dismantling the machine needs to be on the agenda every single day.
Are there any witches that you envy for any reason?
Yes, I have to check how I answered this question on paper, because it's really important to talk about these things. Envy is real, and I feel like just acknowledging it is a step toward, being grateful
I fucking
for
envy
what you have.
Macy and her goddamn connection to the goddamn her fucking area that she lives in, man. I fucking want that.
I love that. Yes, I think I've asked at least once for a home tour from Macy, but I get that it's super private. Like, her space is her space, and she does not owe that to us at all. But I would love to see like the whole layout of like the property. I think that would be super cool.
Yes.
I
I'm really
and
nosy.
same. I'm not going to do anything with the information. I just want to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
This is why this podcast exists, because I just want to know shit about people and then keep
Okay,
it in
so
my head.
real answer. I envy any witch that has their own business. I envy I know it's bananas. And I envy shopkeepers, healers, entrepreneurs, and craftspeople. Because they're able to make their magic their full-time job. I would honestly love to have that much immersion. And
Me too,
also
goddammit.
there's something really special about making your art your job and, making your magic your job. And hopefully, none of us want to bring the bad parts of work home with us. So I do hope for their sanity that that's a thing that is able to happen, that they're able to, compartmentalize and cut that cord if need be. And I just think it would be super neat to not wait tables anymore.
Fucking that. I want to die. My sister did that. Now she's a bartender. I hate people.
Oh, I'm a terrible bartender. Like, I'm fast and my drinks are fine. I'm just not very nice. That's I have no poker face. So like if I'm busy and making a lot of drinks and like absolutely weeded, you're going to see it on my face. And some guest walks in, sits down at the bar and is like, "Hey, can I get a, XYZ?" And I look like I'm having a bad time. Exactly. I can't help it. I can't help what my face does. And that is why I don't belong behind the bar. Also, when you're behind the bar, you can't just walk away from bad conversation. You're stuck there. And that was rough with me as well. I bartended in this place that every bar has regulars. This happened to be in a city in Southern California that is rather well known for their marches and rallies for former president who shall not be named. And so it was really rough having customers come in and just say awful, awful things, racist things, sexist things. It was gross. And it's so disheartening because I really don't feel that any service worker should have to be nice to somebody who makes them feel unsafe. And that was the situation I was in. I'm like, I'm not comfortable. I want out. So that's why I haven't gone back to bartending.
Who would you say, or what, this doesn't have to be who, would you say are your 3 biggest influences on your practice?
Ooh, I think one of my biggest influences definitely is my cousin. Her name is Leah Garza, and she is also involved in the magical community. She is a spiritual healer and an educator. She lives in Los Angeles. She actually kind of helped me kickstart my magical journey. She is an Akashic Records practitioner. She doesn't already have it. She's getting her PhD. She's currently teaching. Yeah, she's wicked smart. Yeah, she hosts classes constantly. She's been on, she has a podcast herself, which I don't know if they've updated fairly recently, but she was actually the one who recommended Amanda Yates Garcia, her podcast and her book. So I have all of that information, all of that media because of my cousin, and I'm very grateful to her. If I told her, I'm like, hey, like you're the reason why I do magic, she would balk at that. She would be like, get out of here, whatever. But I think it's really, really cool and special that I have, somebody who's close to my age in my family who I can talk about this stuff with and bounce stuff off of her too. And she just simply by being who she is and sharing the things that she learns throughout her journey through academia, which if you ask her, she'll tell you that she hates it and she loves it. It's a very complicated relationship. But everything that she shares on her social media just makes me realize like I know nothing. There's so much out there. And if you think like buzzwords like social justice and decoloniality are annoying, like there is a bigger, broader world out there even beyond that. Like way more social justiceier than you could even imagine. and it's so fun. I'm so into it. Like yeah, she's the best. I would say Charlie and Macy, honestly. They're
Yeah.
like, I don't really listen to podcasts. Like, I think there's 3 that I listen to, and that would be Amanda's and yours and theirs. And I found them in like 2018, so right when I kind of said like I came out as a witch, and it was this journey started to get like really super serious for me. And they were, I just kind of searched for witchy podcasts on Spotify, and I found them, and it's been so important to me that finding that.
Me
Oh gosh, what
too.
else? I know. Yes, I want to say there's got to be others. I think I mentioned Star Wars already, but I think you know the Force and learning about that has also had an impact. There are books about it, and like they're fictional. They're part of the Star Wars extended universe, what have you. But there is the book The Jedi Path, and there is the Book of the Sith. And they have snippets written from the point of view of, Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano and Obi-Wan Kenobi and all other Force-sensitive people, humanoids, I guess, or even not humanoids, because that universe is so expansive and inclusive. But yeah, it was such a big part of my life for so long. I did all the research that I could, and I found a lot of really important information that relates to how one's body relates to the space, and how your energy can influence other things. So people will tell you that the Force isn't real.
It
They
is
have no
though.
idea. It is, though. That's the thing.
I'm
It
not
is
even like half the time,
absolutely
half of the
real.
things you're talking about, I don't know what they are, but I know what the Force is.
And the Force looks different for every Force user. And in the Star Wars universe, as well as, our present reality, whatever, matrix you want to call this.
Shit show.
Yes, it was.
What would you tell somebody just starting out?
I would tell somebody just starting out, I would say, never assume you know everything. Assume you know nothing, actually. And because there is always something to learn. You're never not learning when you're practicing this. That's a good rule for life, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, to speak with authority on a certain topic, like, yeah, like I'll allow it. If you've done this for a while, like I will listen to someone who has a few years of experience. And at the same time, I have to realize that that person is also still a student, as are we all. And I feel like it's really important to always remind oneself of that, this is still a journey, still ongoing. The story isn't over. If someone tells you that something is a closed practice, I would say don't argue with them. Just if witches who are more oppressed than you are trying to speak to you about it, do not argue with them. Like it won't end well. It just, I don't know what you're hoping to achieve by insisting, that you have a
But I
right.
want to. But I want to. But I want to do
Great.
whatever I want.
I don't want to be your friend. That's not the magic that I want in my life. That's a connection to spirit that needs some more examining. And I would admonish those witches to ask themselves why they feel entitled to this. I would say, what else? Listen to elder witches. Listen to witches of color. Also, if you're any time is a good time to start, and any time is a good time to change the path that you're on, or just to start over entirely. Oh, and I also want to tell those witches who are just starting out that you're doing a good job. You are. And we see you trying, and we're proud of you, and that you do make a difference.
I'm going to add something to the start whenever statement. Don't wait for such and such to happen. Just start now.
Yes.
If you wait for the right thing, the right time, the right day, the right phase of the moon, the right job, you're going to be waiting forever. Just start.
That's true.
It's okay if you don't have everything you need. Just start.
Yes. You feel called to this for a reason. And that calling finds all of our favorite characters and all of our favorite stories at the worst point in their life so far. You know, again, to bring it back to Star Wars, when we think about Luke Skywalker and his hero's journey, what has just happened to this poor boy? What happens to Leia? Like, what happens to all of these people to get them started or, to change the trajectory? Terrible things happen. And that happens in life too. Sometimes, it takes something truly major, or it doesn't at all. Sometimes you just get an idea and it's so small, but it doesn't stop sparkling. It's there, like in your gut or in the back of your brain, a tickle in your throat, a buzzing in your chest, wherever it manifests, And it's a calling that doesn't go away. So, you might as well listen, because it's probably right.
Sometimes a wizard and 13 dwarves knock on your door.
Sometimes that happens too. I'm picturing dwarves from Lord of the Rings.
Me too. In that same vein of person with experience speaking to someone with less experience, what would you like to hear from somebody more experienced than yourself?
That I'm doing a good job and that they're proud of me.
It is so funny how everyone says that. That is so interesting to me. Just about everyone says that.
I do, yeah, I feel like, that relationship, the teacher student, master apprentice, parent child relationship is something that is just so intrinsically human that we long for it long after we're independent adults. Also, like, the independent adult thing is very recent and very Western, as far as I know. So, like, just the idea that we can do this on our own, I think that needs to be abolished altogether. Unrealistic. It doesn't function. Nobody's happy. We're all painfully lonely, and everybody's crying for connection. And that causes us to make all sorts of unwise choices and parade around as something that we're not in order to get likes and gain followers, because we think that'll make us whole. And that wholeness has to come from something else. Like, it's got to come from, if it doesn't come from within, it has to come from someone that you trust. So I think, hearing from other witches with more experience that they trust me, that would be so good, so cool.
Who would you like to see on the show?
Oh, I got to plug some of my friends real quick. I would love, so my cousin Leah, if you can get a hold of her, she's available for podcast appearances and whatnot. She's done it many times, and I think that would be cool. I think Amanda would be super fun if you can get a hold of her. I just know that she's busy and popular because she's she's having a moment. She's having a moment right now, and has been for the past couple of years. She actually started the podcast with another witch named Sarah Faith Gottesdiener. She's not involved with the podcast anymore, and Sarah is still very much involved with the magical community. She's really cool as well. I would recommend her. Also, I've got a couple of buddies of mine who have, we all kind of started our witchy journeys around the same time. One of whom, her name is Anna Smith. She is a yogi and a theater educator based out of Northern California, Bay Area. She is such a powerful influence on my life and my practice. I see everything that she does, and I think it's so similar to me in so many ways. I love and respect her authenticity and her hard work. Another person is a former coworker of mine. Her name is Rissy Watkins. She is a performer, a stunt actor, and she's a Christian witch. And I love seeing, I love seeing the way her magic manifests, the way that she practices the craft, because I can't get enough of that viewpoint, to be honest. I am not a Christian, and my ancestors are, so it's still very important to me. And there's a lot of Christians in my life whom I love and respect, and I feel like their point of view doesn't always get the biggest amplifier. You know what I mean? I feel like
I don't.
I'm talking
continue.
specifically witchcraft within Christianity.
Okay.
Specifically that. Everything else, like, no, we've had enough from the Bible thumpers. We're not talking about that. We are talking about how they reconcile their relationship with Jesus Christ and their practice of magic. I think that's really neat, and I'm interested to learn more. Thirdly would be another former coworker of mine. Her name is Jenny Ryerson. She is based out of Southern California. She is a life coach, a spiritual coach, a healer, and a mom. And she and I she's another service industry soldier. So she and I have worked in restaurants together. She's also a very strong personality, and I love watching her magical path and the different directions that it goes in.
Is there anything else you wanted to bring up or ask me?
Yeah, well, I would like to mention that I am findable on the TikTok, on the Clock app. I think my handle is the same as my Twitter handle. So it's at the Darce side, at the _Darce, DARCE _side. And I think I think my name on TikTok, or at least in my bio, it says Jedi of Cups, which is just, it's a name that came to me at some point, and I can't let it go. I feel like it's too good. And yes, I know, like, a Jedi Knight is like a level of being a Jedi. So to be a Knight of Cups, yeah, I get it. But like Jedi of Cups just had a ring to it. So you can probably search that and I'll probably turn up. Okay. I got a question for you, Kim. I got a question. Okay. You see your favorite witchy celebrity in public.
Oh my God.
And it's like, it's a chill environment. Like, it's not weird. You're totally like, you're able to.
I am filled with so much anxiety, and this is not even a real situation.
Imagine, like, it's the perfect circumstance. The conversation starts organically. You offer to buy them something, not a drink. Like, hey, can I buy you a drink? Not a drink. You got to buy them something else. You offer to buy them something else. And what is it?
Something to eat. What?
Okay. That's good.
It's going to be, you want to go get something to eat?
I had so here's the thing. My partner ran into George Lucas at a gallery once. Yeah, I know. And like, I'm like, you should go offer to buy him a pack of gum. Everybody offers to buy him drinks. You should buy him something like weird, like a pack of gum. It's just
That's
so
a good shtick, though.
Yeah, it's so, and he'll never forget that interaction. George Lucas will never forget you. He's always going to remember the guy that offered to buy him gum.
It'll be some weird thing that he brings up on interviews periodically.
Yes, exactly.
And you can be like, that was me.
And that is how you network. All you actors out there. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know anything about networking at all. I'm bad at it because I'm like you, as, you know, bubbly and charismatic as I like to think that I am, and I've been told that I am. I get horrible anxiety when it comes to introducing myself to people. Like, once we shake hands and you know my name and I know yours, the floodgates have opened and you're going to know everything. And until that point, I'm just not going to talk to you. I'm just going to pretend you're not there. It's really uncomfortable, and it kind of makes me come across as rude.
Me too. I get it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I swear I'm not ignoring you. I'm just painfully shy in the moment. But And
sixth grade, somebody told me that I was a snob because I had never talked to anyone. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I'm afraid of you. Are you crazy?
Somebody wrote that in my yearbook, my freshman year. They're
mean.
like, you're kind of stuck up sometimes, but honestly, you're really cool. I'm like, I'm not stuck up. I'm terribly intimidated by you.
Oh, gosh. High school was fucking stupid.
It was a fun game, wasn't it?
My high school reunion just happened 2 nights ago.
Did you go, though?
Hell no.
All right, fair enough.
I saw some pictures. I don't have, one, I'm not fucking flying to a goddamn East Coast state where it's hot as fuck and humid. But also,
oh, yeah, no. Hard pass. I understand.
But it would probably be like something to eat. Hey, you want to go get whatever? It depends on where we are. Because
for sure.
I could introduce it like, if it's here or somewhere I've been, hey, I want to take you to the best whatever the fuck it is in town. If I'm not there, I'd be like, hey, I heard, because I'm a fucking food obsessed person, I heard the such and such is really good. You want to go get some? I wanted to try it. Come try it with me. That's what I would do.
You're a Taurus sun, right?
You're damn right.
Yes. Okay. I just love it when the jokes and the memes line up with folks' reality. I think that's hysterical.
Definitely do. And the Aries moon as well.
I
would light your fucking house on fire if you cross me.
Yes. I've got an emotion and everybody's going to hear about it.
Yep.
Yes. I have 3 Aries placements, so I get that.
Oh.
Yes, my Mars, Mercury, and Venus are all in Aries. It's fun.
My Mercury, I think, is in Gemini. But my Mars is in Aries. Is that right?
Oh, okay.
Am I saying these backwards?
No, you got it right. Yeah, the planet is in the constellation.
You're just saying words to me, and I'm saying, okay.
Yeah. When it's like the planet is a dot in the sky.
It stick in my head. You might as well be telling me math words. I understand what you're saying that is English.
Yes.
But it's not comprehension. There's no comprehension at all. I'm sorry. So at the end, everyone knows by now, please recommend something for the listeners.
Oh, God, like anything?
Yes.
I forgot about this question. Oh, gosh.
What? Oh, yeah, because it was
oh, okay. I've got it. I've got a recommendation.
Hit me.
Everybody watch Goodfellas.
Oh.
Yeah, we just lost Paul Sorvino today. And we lost... Yes, Paul Sorvino also passed away.
Christ.
I know. Well, so is David Warner and Paul Sorvino today. So that's my only recommendation. I like Martin Scorsese is not my favorite director, and Goodfellas is just it. I feel like it's a way to pay homage to those who came before, and also if it inspires you to make different and better cinema, that can also be a thing. Well, we can let that happen. If I'm going to recommend anything else, let's see. Everyone watch The Bear. I think it's on Hulu. If you want to learn what it's like to work in a restaurant, that's the best.
Oh my God.
The best portrayal so far that I have seen. It's Alec couldn't watch it. He hated it so much he had to walk away. I loved it.
I may not be able to watch it for that reason because I only worked at Burger King, but it still made me fucking hate everything.
Do you know what it's like to hear a printer go off?
It's not the same. Oh, and like,
but you know what it's like to have it
before you close or something, and suddenly
the tickets printing. Yeah,
Fuck
the
off.
Ticket prints, and the printer just keeps printing, just keeps printing. They have that in the show. There's an intense conversation happening, and in the background is the fucking printer just printing tickets, and the phone is ringing. The phone keeps ringing. Oh, it's the best.
No.
It's awful in how accurate it is. It's when you say chef's kiss, that's this moment. Like literally chef's kiss.
That sounds like something terrible that I would probably get really stressed out by.
Yes. I think that's the goal. And I think if a piece of media can accomplish that, then it's doing exactly what it was intended to do. And I love that sort of specificity in art. When it starts those conversations and that's what it wants to talk about, it's done its job.
Still don't want to get stressed out, though.
That's fair. You don't have to watch it.
My sister
you can watch
probably
something
would,
else.
though, because she's been a server her whole life.
Yes. See if actually just ask her, like, hey, have you seen this? And she'll either say yes in all caps
She doesn't
or
have Hulu.
no, tell me about it. She does what?
She doesn't have Hulu. Now, at the very, very end, I ask everyone to please tell me a story that they love to tell.
A story I love to tell. Okay. Oh, there's. Does it have to be witchy, or can it just be about anything?
No. Just a story that you enjoy telling that you've told before, and hopefully it makes you scream, laugh at some point, or cringe. That makes me scream, laugh.
All right, I've got a story. I've told this story 100 times, really, and it's one of my favorite stories from my career in the service industry. This just goes to show how difficult it can be actually to get fired from a place. Not that I did it on purpose, but I'm just saying. So I used to work at the Tilted Kilt. For those of you who don't know, the Tilted Kilt is like an Irish, Scottish themed Hooters. It is a restaurant. The people that are hired to work there are not classified as food service workers. They're entertainers. So
what?
they are legally allowed to have their hair down and long while they're serving food, to have their nails done. Yeah, both of these are food safety concerns that food service workers, this is not a thing that is allowed to happen. And because these workers are on legally classified as entertainers, that's also why they can discriminate about how you look, your body type, and whatnot. So anyway, this was 2007, I think, when I got hired there. So this was a lifetime ago, right? So we had just at the restaurant installed a trivia game, and it was on independent consoles. So basically, the guests got to take a console, take it to their table, and play on the television screens. I feel like people might have seen these before at like Buffalo Wild Wings or whatnot. But anyway, this was a new thing that we had just installed. My restaurant, by the way, it used to be right next to Petco Park in downtown San Diego. So I'm working the day shift. Some folks come in a little bit later, toward like early evening, and it's a game night. So the Padres are playing. Their people are starting to trickle in to get beer and food before the game. So it's starting to get busy, right? By this time, I've been dating my former partner for a while. He lives 90 miles north of San Diego. So I am getting ready to get off my shift and go drive up to spend the weekend with him. So these guests rent a console, and the way we rented them out was we held a credit card for them. So we would hold the credit card, you rent the console. When you bring the console back, we give you your credit card back. You see where this is going, don't you? Yeah. So, another part I neglected to mention is that I had driven down from Orange County that morning to work that shift, and was going to drive back up after. So I did that. I park in Huntington Beach, and I get a call from my manager, and he says, "You still have the guest's credit card." They're pissed, and I go, "Oh no!" I'm like, I have a moment of panic, like, "Oh, what do I do?" Like, ugh. The only solution was to get back in my car and drive back, of course. So I did that. I was so mad about it. So I drove like over 300 miles, right, that day or something like that. Like down, then up, and then down again. It was not 300 miles, but like 3 hours in the car total, probably.
It might as well be 300 miles. I can't do math.
It was just a gnarly day. So it is. The game is almost starting. Downtown San Diego is packed. Foot traffic. It is gridlocked on, the East Village streets. You can't find parking anywhere. So I pull up in the loading zone right in front of the restaurant. And, Padres fans are flooding in through the gate. It is packed with people. My manager is standing in front of the doors with his arms crossed, just waiting for me to get there. Pull into the loading zone, put my hazards on, hop out of the car, hand him the credit card, and I ask, "Am I fired?" And he goes, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, bye." I'm back in the car. And I think I crashed at my dad's place or something. I didn't drive back up to Orange County that night, but I tell that story like, hey, if you're a server and you think you fucked up, did you ever drive 90 miles with a Gus credit card in your pocket? Probably not. But I did that.
Oh, God.
And I didn't get fired.
That's amazing, dude. Sounds nightmarish, but also so very food service.
Yeah. Hashtag relatable.
Oh my God. Please no.
I hope that never happens to me. And I hope I never do that again. And I haven't.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. You have a little special place you put it. Except you couldn't because you were not thinking about it. Otherwise, you would have put it in a special place.
Do you know where I put it?
There is a special place.
Yeah, they had us wear sporns. We didn't wear aprons. We wore, the little leather pouches that goes with the kilt. Like that's part of like traditional Scottish, apparel. You've got the little leather pouch that sits in your crotchal region. So I had one of those, and that's where everything went. Everything gets stuck in the sporn. So that's where it was, in my little leather pouch.
Ew.
I know.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but also I'm glad that I got to hear the story.
I enjoy telling that story, so it all worked out. Everyone benefits, really.
Perfect. And those people probably had something that they didn't need to spend money to go do, so good for them. You saved them.
Yeah, probably. You know what? I did. Saved your life. Sure did.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Yay! And I will see you on the internet. Bye.
Bye.
It's love letter time again. And this one says, I'm having trouble starting because I'm just overflowing with love for Kim and Your Average Witch podcast. Kim knows just how to get people to open up and share about their experiences and really helps me feel like I'm not alone on this journey. That's the whole point, friend. I am glad that it helps. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Your Average Witch. You can find us all around the internet on Instagram at Your Average Witch Podcast, Twitter at Average Witch Pod, Facebook at facebook.com/Your Average Witch Podcast, at YourAverageWitch.com, and at your favorite podcast service. Want to help the podcast grow? Leave a review. You can review us on Amazon and Apple Podcasts, and now you can rate us on Spotify. You just might hear your review read at the end of the next episode. To rate Your Average Witch on Spotify, click the home key, click on Your Average Witch Podcast, and then leave a rating. You can also support the show by going to patreon.com/CleverKimsCurios. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to YourAverageWitchPodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the moon changes.